In the equity quadrant, taking a look at the March Nasdaq futures, we are not quite closed yet, but the Nasdaq was the weakest index today. And if we close negative, which looks like it's going to, it's now down 3 of the last 4 sessions. The Nasdaq now sits down 1.64% from the all-time high that it reached on March 8th, but it's still closing above support, which would be the high close of 18,338.25 on March 24th. On a weekly basis, the midpoint of the week, today's Wednesday, Nasdaq is up on the week by about 0.5%. On the high today, 18,506.75 was only up 16 basis points, so short of 0.2%. The low so far, as I mentioned, we're still open, but not much longer. 18,281.75, and that was down 1.06%. As I speak to you right now, we're down about 50 basis points, or 0.5%. Part of the reason for the tech weakness is the TikTok bill. At least that's what they're calling it in the financial news media. The U.S. House passed a bill, that's the House of Representatives, not the Senate, calling for ByteDance to divest itself of TikTok or face a ban. This is supposed to be focused on the fact that ByteDance is a Chinese company, and any Chinese company has to abide by rules where if the Chinese government asks for information, they're supposed to give it to them. But TikTok claims to be domestic and not subject to those rules. Congress, at least the House of Representatives, doesn't seem to believe them, so they passed it. It still has to go to the Senate, although President Biden said he would sign it if the Senate passed it. Now, opponents say that it's not specific enough to the ownership country, meaning China, so they're against it in sort of the guise of it being a censorship bill. So we'll see where this goes, but it's putting a little pressure on tech. And on top of that, U.S. interest rates, the yield curve went up on an individual basis. 2-year rose to 462 on the yield side. That was up 4 basis points, 5-year 419, 10-year 419, up 4 and 3 basis points respectively. In the 30-year 435, up 4 basis points. That pressured tech because higher interest rates tends to pressure tech, at least lately. As a matter of fact, tech was the worst performing sector, down 0.75%, with only 2 other sectors negative on the day, real estate and healthcare. So Nasdaq, worst performer on the day, down for the 3rd day in the last 4 sessions.